What if I told you that your favorite lash serum is causing the hollowness around your eyes or is causing the hyperpigmentation, the dark circles that you have? You would probably stop using that lash serum, right? We are going to talk about the lash serums that are causing irreversible fat loss around the eyes, a hollowing out of the eyes. Yep, they are growing lashes longer, thicker, and darker, but they are also causing a hollowness. They are causing hyperpigmentation around the eyes. And after reviewing a bunch of scientific literature, I have to tell you that the incidence of periorbital fat loss is much, much, much greater than I ever realized. Initially, the way that latisse even came about was because it was in the main ingredient, the prostaglandin, was in the form of eye drops, and it was being used as a part of a glaucoma medication. And what they found was the participants that were using this medication for the interocular pressure in their eyes were getting these really long eyelashes. In one of these studies that I think is incredibly profound, the participants used the drops in one eye and the other eye was a control. And after 30 days or beyond, what they were finding was absolutely profound orbital fat loss. Because we know that that is a thing with the drops, of course it had to be studied in the topical, and lo and behold, they found that there was also plenty of incidence of periorbital fat loss with the topical version of lash serums that contain prostaglandins. The other side effects that are really clear and most of us are familiar with are the red skin, the hyperpigmentation, the itchiness, the scaly skin, a little bit of crepiness. All of those things we associate with lash serums with prostaglandins, but I think that because the fat loss is gradual and it is under the skin, and a lot of us that are using these lash serums are getting older, so some of that hollowing is just happening to us. We don't connect the dots that the lash serum is doing more than causing that irritated, itchy, red discoloration. It is also causing some of that hollowness. And to add insult to injury, when you add hyperpigmentation to a hollow, you get really this appearance of sunken, tired, aged eyes. In the description box, I am going to list some of the prostaglandin analogues that exist in some of these over-the-counter lash serums. I'm also going to list some of those lash serums so that you know which ones contain prostaglandins. As lash serums got more and more popular, of course there was a want for a lash serum that actually was effective but didn't contain the prostaglandins. And so several came out on the market that contain growth factors and also contain some other ingredients that do indeed appear to not only keep the hair in the anagen phase longer, which is the growth phase, so the lashes are able to get longer, but they're also able to increase the size of the bulb so the lashes get thicker, and they do appear to also help with the curl of the lash and the luster of the lash. Now there's a study that I wanted to share with you because I think it is absolutely fascinating, and it took 30 women, so it's a small study, it's a very small study, but it took 30 women and it took them through 90 days of using a lash serum that they created out of several growth factors that they do list, and plus a couple other key ingredients. And no irritation or periorbital fat loss or anything like that was observed in any of the test subjects either. Now they actually used digital photography, Vizia, several other really fantastic ways of measuring results. So it wasn't just the naked eye, to measure things like the thickness of the eyelashes, to measure the length, to measure the luster, etc., to measure the curl of the eyelash. And the results were really fantastic. What they found was that these women, 29 of them, because one of the people didn't finish the study, all 29 of them reported that they had growth in the eyelashes, they had an increase in thickness, they also had an increase in curl, and they had an increase in the luster of their eyelashes. So the general overall condition of their eyelashes, the shine that's able to be reflected off the eyelashes, overall it was a home run for using growth factors plus a couple of key ingredients into a lash serum. A total home run. The growth factors in this study were the keratinocyte growth factor, KGF, fibroblast growth factor, FGF, insulin-like growth factor 2, which is IGF-2, and vascular endothelial growth factor, VEGF. Those were the growth factors that they put together in this serum. They also had 2 peptide proteins. They had myristoyl pentapeptide 17, and then they had myristoyl hexapeptide 16. Now, the myristoyl pentapeptide 17 is really important because it seems to have done a couple different things. First of all, it seems to have helped stimulate the eyelash growth, but it also seems to be an ingredient, a peptide, that helps all the other ingredients work better. So it would appear that that particular peptide is integral in not only helping those eyelashes to grow more, but also to boost the efficacy of the growth factors. So that is a really great combination to see, and it would appear that it is a really imperative combination for the ultimate efficacy. So here's the deal. Obviously, what this study is saying is that the use of growth factors, those particular growth factors, plus some key ingredients, some peptides, and some other key ingredients, seems to be a combination that yields really fantastic results in all of the areas that people are looking for when they are using prostaglandin analog-based eyelash serums, only there aren't the negative side effects, at least not in this study. So of course that got me to looking for those particular growth factors along with those particular peptides and maybe some other key ingredients that have some kind of root in science as helping our hair, helping our lashes, etc. Now the ones that I'm going to tell you about today that I think are worth your consideration so that you can ditch the latisse, you can ditch the Rodan and Fields, you could ditch the RevivSerums, any of them that have the prostaglandin analogues in there, I highly suggest ditching them so that you don't wake up in 10 years with hollowed out eyes, with hyperpigmentation and irritation that you don't need to have just for sake of having long eyelashes, thick eyelashes, etc. The 3 that I'm going to tell you about are anti-age. I don't have that one on hand. I chose not to buy it, but I will tell you that it is packed with growth factors and it also has the myristoyl pentapeptide 17. So it really does have the key ingredients from this study. In fact, it is the lash serum that I could find that contained the majority of the things that are in this study. Here's the deal with the one from Anti-Age. It is extremely expensive. So it is $85 for 3.5 ml, which means that when we compare it to the other lash serums that I'm going to share with you today, it is quite a bit more expensive, like a lot more expensive. I really do think, especially anecdotally, that you can have one of those growth factors plus some of those peptides and key ingredients and still get really great results, but at a much more affordable price. Now that one is going to be the RevivSerums. I've talked about this one before. I knew that I loved it. I honestly didn't really know why I loved it. I knew that the ingredient deck was absolutely stellar, and so I kind of went with it. Well, I discontinued using this to try out the Olaplex, and it was so irritating to my eyes that I had to discontinue after a couple of weeks, and I went back to the Reviv. Now, once I started investigating all of this stuff, I discovered that the Reviv does indeed contain one of those growth factors. It has the KGF in here, and it also has that myristoyl pentapeptide 17 ingredient that is not only going to help to stimulate the growth of the eyelashes, but it's going to help that growth factor to work better, to penetrate better. Now, growth factors are really big molecules, and basically in order for them to get in, they need the avenue of the hair follicle. So that's why putting them at the base of our lashes is absolutely perfect, because they have a little bit of a highway to get in and to do some work. What is the work that they're doing? It would appear that they are indeed helping the lash to stay in that growth phase longer, and that they are also helping that bulb to get a little bit thicker and encouraging some of the positives that we know about growth factors for our skin in our lashes. Now this has a ton of other ingredients in here that aren't referenced in that study that I know are really, really good for us. It has a bunch of other peptides. It has copper peptides. Now copper peptides are also really fantastic for hair. This is one of the ingredients that we love to microneedle into our scalp. And so I know that copper peptides are a fantastic ingredient to see in a lash serum. Now this serum happens to be 7 ml. So it is twice the size of the anti-age serum, which does look fantastic. So that is definitely worth noting. Only it's half the size of the Revive and it is almost double the cost. So then the next serum that I think is definitely worth mentioning is the Ordinary. Now the Ordinary is very, very affordable. Anecdotally, I have heard from so many people that they love this serum. It is $15 and it is, I believe it's 5 ml. So it is smaller than the Revive by 2 ml. So if you put them, if I made the Ordinary the same size as this, it would be about $21 versus $45. So the Revive is definitely the mid-range of the three that we're talking about. Now, the Ordinary has a bunch of peptides. It is actually called multi-peptide lash and brow serum. And with all of these, you can definitely use them on your eyelashes and also on your eyebrows. It will work on your eyebrows just like it's working on your eyelashes. You really don't need a separate brow serum. You can use them both as long as your eyebrows are clean when you are applying the serum. Okay, so this one has those peptides in it. This one also has caffeine in it. Now, caffeine has been also shown to help with hair growth, and it also can be helpful with microcirculation. To me, it's just an added benefit to kind of augment the benefit of those peptides. Now, what's really important is this one does also have that myristoyl pentapeptide 17. So clearly, everybody has the memo that that particular peptide is really, really beneficial for lash growth because you'll see it in lots and lots of lash serums. So this one does have that particular peptide, but it has no growth factors. And I would argue that the growth factors are probably the key to the real success in that study because the study was focused, hyper-focused on the growth factors more so than it was hyper-focused on the peptides. That's not to say that the peptides weren't really, really important, but it definitely was that they were kind of the supporting cast to the growth factors. Last thing I want to say is that I have used this for a long time and I really, really like it. I definitely, when I'm consistent with it, can tell that my eyelashes get longer, but more than anything, I notice that they get thicker. And that is a big deal for me because as I've gotten older, I've just noticed that my eyelashes don't look quite as lush as they did just 10 years ago. So thickness for me is as important as length. And in fact, in the past, when I have used eyelash serums that have prostaglandins in them, I didn't love when my eyelashes got too long because they kind of got a little bit wonky and I would have to really work to tame the eyelashes, to kind of straighten them, to get everybody in line, all of that stuff. So I'm okay with a little bit of extra length and a lot of extra volume. Now, I have not noticed that my eyelashes ever got any darker with any of these. I actually didn't notice a darkening of my eyelashes, even with the prostaglandin-based eyelash serums that I used to use. I only noticed a darkening of the skin around my eyes, which was super unfortunate. So that's not a thing for me. I definitely do notice an increase in curl, and it's one of the downsides for somebody with curly lashes is you really have to watch, and when your lashes start to get too curly, you have to back off and use it less often, or your eyelashes will actually get way too curly. That is not a problem most people have. That's a specific problem if you already have curly lashes like me, but it's just something to kind of take note of. Let me know if you've ever experienced any of these negative side effects from prostaglandins. I would love to hear. Definitely check the description box because I am going to list those prostaglandins that I can find, the prostaglandin analogues, and I'm also going to list some of the bigger offenders as far as over-the-counter prostaglandin, including lash serums. I really think it's something that we should discontinue using. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I'd love to hear if you've used either one of these, what you think of these. I will link these in the description box. They will be affiliate links. I have a discount code for Revive. And of course, this one is like $15. And sometimes you can even find it on sale. So you can get this one really affordably as well. I hope you're having a really wonderful day, and I will talk to you in my next skincare video. Take care.